To the Dummy Load, a very special episode for you this last weekend in June. Thank you for joining us. This is the Dummy Load. In the world of radio, a dummy load is a device, also known as a dummy antenna or radio frequency termination. It is a device used instead of an antenna, used only for testing a radio transmission. None of what you are about to hear was ever intended to be broadcast. You are now inside the Dummy Load.
3, 2, 1.
Thank you for joining us this week. And why did I
every week?
And every week. If you're watching us live, we especially appreciate you. Make sure you notice the chat box below the video that's playing right now and comment along with the show. Mark will be moderating the comments, and if you have something that contributes to the conversation at hand, he will interject your comment into the conversation.
Or if you just want to tell Mark he looks nice.
We can address you personally.
You've got a good beard going on over there.
Thanks.
To date, we've been
It's
doing
looking
this.
manly.
We've been doing this for almost 3 years, and no one has ever said that Mark looks nice.
That's very true.
I don't know if that's a coincidence or not. I'm not trying to imply something by that, but I'm saying Mark has never received a single compliment, looks or otherwise, since we've started. I mean, in the chat box, no one.
I don't think he's gonna get otherwise. Looks is he's probably got the best shot at that. I don't think anybody's gonna compliment his personality.
Or his sense of fashion.
Somebody might like his shirt or his hat. I liked his hat last week. He had a cool hat.
Yeah.
Well, you've made fun of him for that hat so many times.
No, not that
it's
hat.
a new hat.
Oh, not that hat.
No, it was like a gray O'Neill hat.
Oh,
it?
that's right. But then he had like a baby blue collar. So
when he
it
wears
wasn't-
those reservoir tip stocking cap
A
hats, I
Rastafarian?
don't like those ones.
Yaman.
You guys are just jealous.
Jealous
'Cause
of
you're
what?
not as cool as me.
We're not as hipster
Really?
as him.
Yeah.
You think so?
Look at you guys. What's
Is that
that? I bet you bought that shirt in high school. American Eagle. 30-plus-year-old men should not wear American Eagle anymore.
I disagree. 30 is the new 20.
Keep telling yourself
Mine's
that.
from
Yeah.
Juicy.
Oh.
What's Juicy?
I don't know. It's a girl's brand. It's
Okay.
going out of business though.
So-
You know, don't you like when you see girls and they have those sweatpants that says Juicy on the butt?
Okay, I have seen that.
That's it.
Not that I look
I'm
at,
surprised
not that I
you
look
didn't,
at girls' butts. What?
surprised
No.
you didn't put two and two together there.
It usually says pink.
No, that's a Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
Ah. I mean, I've heard. Anyway, I'm Davey. I'm really glad that you joined the show.
I'm Dennis. I am also glad that you joined the show.
I'm Mark, and
Come
on.
He's
Say something unique.
I'm-
lackluster excited about your joining us.
yeah, I could really care less, but I guess thanks.
Okay.
No, you couldn't care less. I hate it when people say that wrong.
Yeah.
If you could care less, then that might mean that you care a lot.
Well, maybe that's what I was trying to say.
Well, you didn't say that.
Maybe I didn't want to say I care a lot, so I said I could care less.
Okay, so you're
But-
trying to say that you do care a great deal.
Yeah.
Possibly.
But the majority of people say I couldn't care less.
Okay. I'm
That
sorry.
is by
No, actually,
far.
the majority of people say I could care less, and they're just saying it wrong. Most people say I could care less, and
Really?
they're saying it wrong. Yeah, that's how people always say that wrong. It's one
That's
of those
true.
things people just say wrong.
Really? Most
Yeah.
people say I could care less?
Yeah, I mean it's just because they don't realize what they're saying. They're just saying I could care less.
I always say I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't
Well,
care
You
less.
always
good.
do everything right.
Yeah, you always do.
Isn't that
everything
weird?
I am good at that.
Davey just
good
does
at doing
everything
stuff.
right.
I do stuff right.
So annoying.
What do we have
So-
coming up
How
on
right
the show?
he always is.
Oh, why don't we
Do
talk?
we have anything other than
We should introduce the other guy. Who's that guy over there?
Michael.
I am the producer of this show.
What is he doing?
I'm running this ship.
It's
really-
like it's his own tagline. He doesn't even like anymore.
Well, no, I like it just fine, but I was going to say we're really happy that you guys are all here. This is our last episode of the season. That's why it's titled The End of Season 3. And so we're all glad you're here. We'll be back in the future with a new studio and new setup, and so we hope to see you there.
We have a very special guest for our season finale.
Well,
We've
there
had-
goes my segment.
No, we don't.
Michael just spoiled
Oh,
my
my
segment entirely.
Wow.
Darn it. That was it, huh?
This show's over.
All right. We'll
I
see.
apologize.
We'll see you next season.
Next season.
I didn't
Tune
know.
in
I'm
to
sorry.
season
I'm
4.
sorry.
No. So anyway, what's
So
going
anyway, it's like watching. It's like he's dead. Yeah, Bruce Willis is dead the whole time. So stay tuned for the upcoming movie
Yeah.
The Sixth
So when he
Sense.
says he sees
Wait, what?
dead people, he's one of them.
I've
Yeah.
never seen that film.
Yeah,
I haven't.
yeah that's
Well,
that's M.
guess
Night
what?
Shyamalan Ding Dong's
Guess
only
what,
good
Michael?
movie.
Bruce Willis is dead the entire time.
Well,
Enjoy it.
Don't you? Isn't it weird how like everybody thought M. Night Shyamalan was going to be like the new hot director? Then he had that, and then he had Signs, which is all right, and then he just stunk it up after that.
The Village wasn't bad,
I was gonna say
Oh,
I
didn't
liked
see that one.
but that was a ripoff of.
I was thinking
off
of The
a
Happening.
book, and
Did
they
you-
never gave credit to the book, and I always wondered about that.
See, I
The
like
Village was terrible.
no. I liked The Village.
I haven't seen that.
I liked The Sixth Sense. I liked The Village. Unbreakable, I could take it or leave it.
Never heard of it.
Unbreakable.
Signs?
When I saw the preview, I was like, oh, that sounds awful.
That
I
was the
love
problem.
the idea of
The
like
idea was
people with
amazing.
extraordinary. But yeah, they didn't do anything
Yeah.
with it. It was just
Signs, I could take it or leave it.
I liked
Lady in the
Signs.
Water.
I didn't see that one.
Lady in the Water.
The Happening was,
That was terrible.
did
pretty,
not like.
pretty bad. The
Happening-
Happening started out kind of cool, like people just like killing
Yeah.
themselves, but then it same as Unbreakable, it went nowhere.
Yeah, The Happening. I thoroughly enjoyed half of a movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed like a third, maybe the first third.
I
or
enjoyed
so
like the
was
first
really
half because I wasn't sure, and then I was thinking. Then the second half, I spent going. I hope this has a
good. That's the
good.
thing.
I hope this isn't going to be as lame as it looks like
Yeah,
it might be.
yeah.
And then the end was like,
He's really
No
good. He's really good
way.
at the first half of the movie because that's the build up, but then the second half it just keeps at the same pace, and then the movie's over. It never like accumulates to like a climax and then
except he
goes
did
down.
with The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, that's why The Sixth Sense was good.
The Village.
But usually it just goes, and then it stops. And
The Village wasn't as much of a shock twist like The Sixth Sense was, but I liked the end. Like when the Village was over, I look back on that and I'm thinking that was a good movie. I liked what they were saying. I relate to it. You know, I got something out of The Village. I took something home with me after watching The Village, and I enjoyed
I
that.
felt like
He's done two good movies.
I felt like before that I had actually seen most of his movies, but now I realize I've only seen Signs, Unbreakable, Sixth Sense, and The Happening.
Did you ever see The Devil?
I haven't seen The Devil. I haven't seen The Village. I haven't seen Lady in the Water.
Lady in the
I
Water,
haven't
don't
seen
even
that
do it.
The Airbender or something. Wasn't it Last
Last
Airbender or
Airbender?
something?
I saw that.
You did? Was that any good?
It was good. It was the problem is it's one of those movies that requires like a series. It would be like showing the very first it'd be like showing Empire Strikes Back if that was the first one. Empire Strikes Back leaves you hanging. Han Solo's frozen. There's
I actually
there's
always
so
get
many
confused with those. Was it? I know the first one was A New Hope, and then was it Empire Strikes Back and then Return of the Jedi,
Yes.
or Return?
Yes.
Yeah.
Empire, at the end of Empire Strikes Back, I wasn't alive when it first came out, so I was able to watch them all three. But at the end of Empire Strikes Back, Han Solo is frozen.
I mean, Carbonite.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many loose ends. I don't remember. Like Luke's off in some island.
I don't
with,
remember any of those movies actually.
Off in a planet with.
I could probably
Yoda.
watch those all over again.
Yeah, you
that's
should.
the one with Hoth.
They're good.
Snow
It's
Planet.
weird that they have like all the original actors in the new series that they're gonna do.
Yeah, that's
That's
just
crazy. That
it's
was
'cause-
like over no. Yeah, it was over 30 years ago.
yeah. It came out in the
like
70s.
35
and 80s.
years ago, and they're just like bringing it back, and they're
So,
it's crazy.
but the thing about I was just gonna say real quick before we stop talking about M. Night Shyamalan.
That's what the show's about today. That was
This
our
is-
special guest.
You know, since it's our last show, we thought we'd talk about something we've been waiting to
Yeah.
do. The M. Night Shyamalan Ding
Talk
Dong
about
Show.
old movies for the whole show.
But The Last Airbender would be like watching The Empire Strikes Back in that it's a movie, but it leaves so many loose ends. It's obviously part of a series of 4 or 5 movies, but it didn't do very good, and so they won't make any more.
Was it books and he
It's-
only made one movie out of the books?
I don't know. If
I don't think so because he didn't adapt
The
books
point is, it leaves you hanging,
Yeah.
and it's like, why would I? It's like
every movie.
Did you ever see Chronicles of Riddick?
I don't know. I've seen parts of some of those.
Yeah, I mean, it
bad
shows
movies.
it leaves you hanging too, and it's like, okay, well, if you don't have the other 2, then I don't want to watch the one.
If it weren't for Chronicles of Riddick, that series, and Fast and the Furious, Vin Diesel, we wouldn't even know who he is.
What are you talking about? He's the greatest actor ever. You've obviously never seen Triple X.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Nanny, but that was, I think, probably his best work.
That was the pacifier.
Oh,
All
the
right.
Pacifier.
Yeah.
Oh, who's
That was
the
a
nanny?
great movie.
Was it really? Did you see it?
Pacifier.
I did like
Did
it.
you
It was
really
pretty
see it, or are
funny.
you kidding?
Yeah, I liked it.
Are
I
you
thought it
It
was
was
serious?
funny. I thought
It
it
was
was funny.
funny.
too.
I haven't seen it.
He's all serious, and the kids are cause all kinds of problems.
Well, he's part of like a government agency.
That's like every big like meathead actor eventually does one of those. Like The Rock did the Tooth Fairy.
Mhm.
Who did the nanny? Was there a movie called The Nanny?
Hulk Hogan.
No, he did a Mr. Mom.
Oh,
Jackie,
Mr. Mom.
Jackie Chan.
No,
Same-
Mr.
same
Mom
thing.
was Batman. Mr. Mom was Michael Keaton.
Michael
Yes, it
Keaton.
was. The nanny was Hulk Hogan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're probably right.
I know I'm right.
Batman.
He's always right.
You know, we already covered this in the introductions. I do a lot of things right. Just saying. So we do have a lot to talk
Yeah,
about.
what else is going on besides
what
old
stories do we
movies?
have coming up? And Dennis, what do you have coming up in your segment, which will be after mine?
We're gonna hear about a new movie, a new motorcycle, and a new way to donate sperm.
A new way.
We're actually going to talk about that.
Somehow
Yeah.
I doubt it, but okay.
We're gonna have a live demonstration.
I'll
we
volunteer.
will. What?
I was gonna say Mark's about to volunteer.
Good grief.
He's like me.
Yeah. Beep. No deal. I'm gonna cut this show off. Thank you, everybody. Good night, everybody. No, we're not.
Tune
doing
in
that.
next
That's
season to
crazy.
see what happens with Mark's.
So there was a
Um,
story that I had intended on getting to last week because I was actually pretty riled up about it. I'm
But you're not anymore.
a little bit less.
Did
I'll
you get
explain to
re-riled?
Yeah, I got re-riled.
All right, good.
I'm riled up in a different way. So this girl who is I don't know 4 or 5 years old, cutest little girl, had something very tragic happen to her. She was dragged out of wherever she was living by a pit bull and mauled by 3 pit bulls.
They were like in a gang or something.
Yeah, it was a I think they had it in their house. She got attacked by a pit bull, dragged out in the yard, and was mauled by 3 of them. And she's got some serious scarring on her face. I believe she's lost her eye. She wears an eye patch. And she's such a cute kid. And but yeah, she's got a lot of scar issues. So she goes into a Taco Bell, and apparently the employee who was working at Taco Bell asked her to leave because she was scaring away the customers. She said she was too scary and she had to leave. And now they're extremely offended by this because it's a cute little girl. I mean, this girl, we'll show a picture of her.
That would outrage everybody.
Because I think we have one. Do we have one?
I just did.
Okay.
She is so
So
cute.
she's adorable, and she's so little, and it's just such a tragedy that something like this has happened. They had a fund where they were trying to raise money because she's going to need a lot of surgery because of the damage that's done to her face. And
yeah, hopefully she's young enough that some of it'll like bounce back
it'll
with
get-
growth. But
Mhm.
I mean, her eye is never gonna. She's never gonna have her eye back.
Right, but they can do cosmetic stuff to make that look much better. But so they had, I think, $500 or $600 for this fund online. Well, basically, when it came out that Taco Bell or an employee of Taco Bell, certainly not the organization of Taco Bell. I mean, come on, any organization that came up with the Crunchwrap's not the kind of organization that's
They
going
have now like a
to the AM
quesadilla that wraps around a burrito.
Yeah.
Quesarito.
These people at Taco Bell
amazing.
are brilliant.
Like,
They're
pretty good.
amazing people.
I
and
like
they-
how they wrap food with other food.
they have contributed to society in a way that very few in the scope of history have done.
Never mind. They're terrible, right? Because they kicked out this poor little
An
girl.
employee representative. So Taco Bell's response, it was actually one of those combination Taco Bell /
KFC
KFC,
slash
yes.
Pizza Hut / post office
Decided-
/ bank.
decided to make it right by donating $30,000 to help this little girl and donated to her page to help raise money for her surgery,
That was nice.
right?
Yeah.
So this is what I wanted to talk about last week because it sounds so fantastic. It's like the tip story that we had where it is outrageous because, I mean, who asks a girl to leave and say you're just too scary? You know,
Yeah.
someone-
Like when I first heard
yeah.
this, I was like, who would do that? Like,
yeah, she's
I mean,
so
you normally you
little.
see somebody who's got like a disfigurement. It's like you feel bad for them. You don't like say get out of here, freak, or
Right.
something.
And so this is why I think this is why I got so passionate about it because you just go, are you serious? So, Taco Bell hired a private investigator, just their own investigation. They went and they reviewed the security tapes of the restaurant because they film everything that goes on in the restaurant.
Did he?
And there's 2 Taco Bells that are within a certain radius of the house where they were claiming. Turns out the Taco Bell they claim they were at has been closed for years. So they've made a mistake. It's not that one. It must be one of the other 2 that are within, I don't know, a long way of their house. And on the tapes, they never showed up to either one of those restaurants.
They weren't even there.
We're not even there. And they claimed in their story that they had bought a sweet tea and mashed potatoes. But-
Taco Bell doesn't serve mashed potatoes.
Or the
They
KFC
do.
one.
KFC does.
The
KFC.
KFC.
So-
which is why I don't know why they didn't call it KFC this whole time if they're whatever.
I guess
What
I
I
don't
mean.
know. Maybe Taco Bell is just more familiar because they're better. I don't know.
I don't
So-
know, that fried chicken pretty good.
They reviewed the tapes. They never showed up. They looked at the receipts, and no one on that day had at either location ordered a mashed potatoes and a sweet tea. Then they looked further into it, and nobody had ordered a mashed potatoes and a sweet tea, even as part of a larger order. So other than the fact that what they ordered never happened and the fact that they never actually went to the store, the story is terrible.
Wow, so
This
it's
little
like
girl was kicked out of it.
it's almost like bad luck for them. Like even if they were gonna make up this BS story, they managed to pick the 2 items that nobody ordered all day together.
Yeah.
Well, it was stupid. First of all, get the location right. If you're gonna scam somebody, just do it right at least.
Well,
You owe them that much.
Yeah.
So go to one of the KFCs or Taco Bells or whatever, order something, and
Yeah, or say you
then
never got to the order.
take it and leave. So that way, I mean, the video footage doesn't record sound. Most places
Right, no,
don't
they
anyway. So all they would see is the family going in, getting the food that they said that they ordered, and then leaving.
Mhm.
In that time, they could claim that employee told us to get out.
yeah.
You know,
If they really wanted to fake it, they could probably walk up to the register and just be like, "Oh," just start waving their arms around like they're being told something mean, and then walk out.
Storm out. Well, because this became national news. I mean, this was not just reported on some. Sometimes we get stories that are a lot, not widely reported because they're more interesting. This was reported everywhere. This was reported on major news outlets everywhere. And so her fund for her surgeries raised independently $103,000.
Holy
Jeez.
cow.
And so now here's the dilemma. They obviously lied about it to get the money. They fabricated a story to play on the hearts of America. And of course, when we see the little girl, I mean, I want to donate to her. It's like, oh, look at this. We need to, it's such a tragedy that this would happen. So everybody reaches in their wallets, donates the money for a total lie. So, what is the solution now? Because that money is going I mean, obviously the little girl had nothing to do with it. She's only
Right.
4 or whatever she is.
right?
She's a little kid. So this was not her scheme to get her, to get her surgery that she wanted to look better.
And I feel even worse for her now, because not only does she have this disfigurement for the rest of her life, she also has 2 deadbeat parents that embarrassed their entire family nationally.
And her parents are the ones who are going to ultimately have control of this money.
Right.
Because it was donated to them on their website, raising money for the girl. Now, Taco Bell has said, or KFC, to your point, Dennis, has said, even if it turns out to be a hoax, we're still going to give her the $30,000. They're not going to say, hey, you lied. Why would you defame our name? Why would you make us out to be the bad guys? We're taking the money back and not donating it. They're like, you know what? We're going to do it anyway.
It's really
Good for them.
however the story
That's-
goes, the victim doesn't change. The victim's still the little kid who had nothing to do with the
That's
lie.
the kind of company that I think the people who invented the double-decker is.
I'm going to buy a case of Diarito or whatever that
To
is.
support them.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys,
Well, you're not
came
going to
up
like
with-
this because I know you love Coke. But those companies are really under the PepsiCo umbrella, which is Pepsi.
Yeah, that's why you go and you say, I'd like a Coke, and they're like, is Pepsi okay? And you're like, no, pour it on your face, you son of a...
so this is our last show. let's take a vote if we want Mark back, because I'm voting no now.
He probably won't
I
get-
don't understand
his
why.
contract is up.
you know,
probably won't get renewed.
I have explicitly said that there are certain words that we don't say on this show because we have a family-friendly rating on iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
And the P word was the first one that I said.
Was it?
So are we taking a vote?
Yes. No. Let's take a vote.
Yeah. Please take a vote. I want to see this.
I'm trying to vote. My mic's messed up. This is
What
weird.
about mine? 'Cause
My mic-
I'm gonna vote now very clearly so everyone can hear. I vote that Mark is not allowed in the show under any circumstances for any reason. Okay, did you get that? Did everybody hear that?
Yeah,
loud
I
and
got
clear.
it.
Let me say it again. There is no way that Mark is going to ever be on the show that I am a part of ever again.
I couldn't hear.
Because he said that word. All right. So now at least you know where I stand.
Those are some strong words,
Okay.
Dave.
I don't know where you guys are, but at least you know where I
Strong
stand.
You know, I'm
words.
glad that you guys at least trust me enough to tell me what you really think.
We do.
So anyway, I thought it was an interesting story. And here was where I was going. I want all that money to be taken away and that them not to get it because they lied about it. And they totally trashed the name of a business just to get what they wanted.
Yeah, and see, my solution that I gave you
And-
before the show,
Which nobody knows what that is.
yeah, no, that's what I'm gonna say. That's what I'm leading up to. Before
Okay.
It was that they should. I mean, the parents. I don't know what the crime is, if there is a crime, if it's embezzlement or something, but they should face some sort of recourse for that, and then the money should go back. But then I think Taco Bell should take whatever money's been donated and
Well,
put it
Defamation
towards
of character.
directly toward the bill of.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I would say. Get a lawyer or something and say Taco Bell. The $30,000 goes to the little girl in the little
Yeah, I mean,
girl's
all the
school.
Which you could do.
103,000 whatever goes into a fund that will be paid directly to the medical bills.
You can set up. They could set up a trust.
Yeah.
And
The trouble is, here's the thing, and this is my understanding. I may not be 100% right, but I believe they had set up that fund and people have donated to them. And so if I donate to them, how do you take that money back away?
you would have to file a civil suit.
You'd have to file a civil suit and you'd have to sue these losers for $103,000. First of all, I don't trust the parents to give the $103,000 to the girl anyway.
No.
I can see them buying themselves a new boat. A nice new television.
Yeah, they'll probably
And
buy the
then-
kid a new toy and then they'll spend.
Yeah,
the rest
giving
of
the
it,
kids
whatever.
some pain medication. And I mean,
Yeah.
I just don't trust these people because they've already proven to be dishonest.
Right.
So yeah, I want to sue them for it. At the same time, I also want to help the little girl, and so I don't want to do something that would cause the little girl not to get her surgery, because she's a sweet little girl. I mean,
Right.
let's get those scars taken care of. I mean, if we can.
Yeah, but you think like if you don't even blame the parents directly for being malicious, like once we get the $30,000, we're gonna get a sweet house or a boat or something like that. You think their track of thinking was, man, this horrible thing happened to our daughter. I'm sure they felt terrible, but then they were like,
Yeah.
I bet how are we gonna afford this? I bet we could do something. And so if they're given $30,000, they go, oh man, the little girl's hospital bill this month was $1,900.
Let's blame
then
a big corporation.
Yeah, but then they go, it was only $1,900 though, and at this rate, we're gonna have like $10,000 extra. So we might as well spend it on the things we need. Like
Yeah.
they're in the business of manipulation.
Yeah,
I'm
they're-
curious, like whose pit bulls it was.
they're
If there was some
dirtbags.
sort of lawsuit involved, as far as
It was probably their own.
Yeah, they probably.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe.
I mean,
That would suck.
I mean, they said that the girl was. I don't know if she was dragged from inside to outside, or if she went outside and was dragged further into the yard. But I mean, the idea was these pit bulls were in her yard. So,
Huh.
I mean, I haven't studied every aspect of this case. I heard the gist. The pit bulls scarred her face up. They got kicked out of Taco Bell because she was ugly. They raised $103,000 to help this girl with her surgery that she needed. Then finds out they lied about it. And now, what do? My sense of justice says you don't get that $103,000 because you lied.
no.
But then my heart says, but to take that $103,000 back, takes it away from the little girl who clearly
That's
needs
the thing.
surgery.
It should be taken back and put in the hands of somebody responsible who can get it to medical bills and whatever.
That's why the government should just control everything.
I agree.
But I mean, there
Thank
should be
you.
some sort of third party involved.
Somebody
that
said
can-
it.
You know, if she was in Canada, she'd have free health care.
Oh, could you imagine?
Should just have to wait till she's 20 or so.
They should take the 30
Yeah.
grand and move to Canada.
No, she wouldn't be given the surgery because it would be deemed not necessary.
It's cosmetic.
Yeah, it's cosmetic.
She can live fine the
Cosmetic
way
surgery
she
is
is.
not.
Yeah.
You know, they'll save your life.
You've got another arm.
Yeah,
Another eyeball.
you have two eyes.
Yeah.
So
You
anyway,
can still see.
that
right?
was a story I wanted to bring to you because it I thought it was good food for discussion. My solution
Quesarito,
is
that's good food.
my solution is you sue that family to death, and all that money is sued out of them, and they're broken, and then you create another fund.
Now I'm lost on your words. Were you trying to say food for thought when you good food for discussion?
What did I say?
You said good food for
Yeah,
discussion.
there's some delicious food.
If you want something
know what?
to eat while you're talking about things,
Here's the thing: we were talking about Taco Bell, and that's
eat
all.
this story.
Basically, I've just been thinking about Taco Bell ever since it came
Yeah.
up, and so that's
Taco
where my
Bell,
brain's
it gets a lot of flack, but it's pretty good sometimes.
Yeah, it's expensive, but man, I'll tell you what.
if you're on the right mode of hunger, it can make
Nothing is better.
It's maybe that can be good.
Tell you what,
It can be all right.
I'm gonna go ahead and get a Crunchwrap tonight
I'm gonna get a quesarito
because
and some mashed potatoes and iced tea.
they gave $30,000 to try and make it right that they thought they had done wrong. Then they investigated, found out they had not done anything wrong, and still are given the $30,000. That's a company I will support. I'm going to Taco Bell tonight. They're open till 2. Bam.
You know what you could drive to Taco Bell?
My truck.
No,
What else?
maybe your electric Harley Davidson.
What? There's no such thing
King of
as an
segways, ladies.
There's
and
there's
gentlemen.
no such
King
thing as
of
an electric.
segways.
Harley Davidson is an American-made motorcycle. There is no way they would fall for that.
Yeah, well, we could. If you are you curious what an electric Harley Davidson sound like?
Don't even think
Sounds
it
like-
exists.
Harley Davidsons are really
Oh, it
loud.
sound-
They're
yeah.
known for being loud.
They're known for being loud. What would an electrical one sound like? Do you think?
Something like this.
Sounds like a vacuum cleaner.
That is not a Harley Davidson.
It's a Harley Davidson.
That's a Harley Davidson?
Yep.
If you...
One of the things that I've
So they got a new. This is like the big story. They're coming out with this new electric Harley Davidson motorcycle, which I was curious to hear.
I will never drive a Harley.
As a previous
I will.
motorcycle owner, I was curious to hear your thoughts on this because I actually listened to a little bit more of the video, saw it driving around, and I was like, I actually kind of got to like the sound of it. I think I would actually rather drive a bike that makes that like kind of quiet, buzzing kind of.
It's like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari.
Yeah, right. When you drive, it's like.
Yum yum. It's like.
That's like That's one thing I never liked. Well, okay, you're shaking your head, but that's one thing I never liked about motorcycles. Like one drives by and it's just like so eardrum blasting loud. It's like crazy.
That's how a Harley sounds.
I
It's
would.
an American bike.
Yeah, I wouldn't want like everybody looking at me.
Look,
just
if I
'cause
wanted to drive-
started my bike.
If I wanted to drive something that sounded like that, I would become a liberal and buy a Honda
Prius.
hybrid Prius
Yeah, well, I mean that's pretty much what they sound like. but
or a Chevy Volt.
I kind of liked
Or a
it.
smart car.
To me, it sounds like futuristic and like it sounds like Tron, like you're on a Tron bike.
That's
or
what I was
something.
kind of thinking. Tron.
If
Yeah.
Harley had a brain,
I figured you wouldn't be on board.
Harley doesn't understand who buys Harleys. The people who buy Harleys
They're not
going to
get rid of the blub 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 ones.
Yeah, so they should.
They'll
here's
still
the
have
thing.
those.
No.
Yeah. What do you
It's
mean
just,
no?
It's just like what you said. If you like Coke and someone says, "Hey, is Pepsi okay?" No, Pepsi is not okay.
But you could have
Throw
a choice
that on the
between
floor.
the two.
I'll have something totally different than
Oh.
something almost the same.
Touche.
And so if you've got a Harley, you bought it because it's a manly bike made in America and it sounds loud. Now, if Harley wants to make
or because
money,
you like the movie Tron.
if Harley wants to make money off of some electrical sissy machine, then they should come up with another company like Buell, like they did when they tried to do a crotch rocket and fell flat on their face. They should come up with hey, we're the electric motorcycle company of America, and have it something totally different. But don't screw up the name of Harley and make it.
Why are you so pissed about this?
I don't even like Harleys, but
No, you don't.
But I don't like people who are inconsistent. And Harley is a loud American-made bike.
Are you really this upset
Wait,
over this?
why don't you
big-
like Harleys? The bike you had was Honda Shadow, right? Well,
It's
that was,
pretty-
that pretty
and
much
it's
looked
pretty-
like a Harley.
And when I told my dad I had a Honda Shadow, all I heard on the other end of the phone was silent tears.
What?
Because
Because it was a Japanese bike.
no, not because it was a Japanese bike, because it was a Harley style bike. My dad's like, look, if you're gonna ride hard. It should be a BMW or it should be a sports bike. That should be able to go 160 miles an hour down the road, and no one should be able to catch up to you. That's my dad's. My dad's a very aggressive dude. He thinks Harleys are dumb.
Which those bikes sound sort of more like
He might
these, like-
come along.
My dad's image of Harley is back when he used to ride, and Harleys used to leak oil. They shook a lot, and he was like, these are not good quality machines. I'd rather have a Suzuki that goes twice as fast as a Harley, get me from Toronto to Detroit in an hour and a half.
You never even got a leather vest with
So-
a patch on the back.
And
when
then
you
I
had yours.
had such a hard time with my bike because I was raised to hate Harleys. But I can appreciate now as an adult that Harleys are cool, and they're cool because they're loud, they're manly, they're
Dave, this might be the
big,
perfect
cool
solution.
guys ride Harleys.
This is
Nobody
a Harley
who
you
rides-
could get that
no,
you can tell your
no
dad about.
guy who has ever bought a Harley
Come out.
has bought a Harley because they want to save the environment because it's electric,
No, you
or
have a
because
good
it
point.
sounds like that.
Your dad's gonna be so happy when you get
If
one of these.
my Honda Shadow sounded like that, my dad probably wouldn't have talked to me until it was
sounded
sold.
like this.
Next
Like this?
time you call
Yes.
Dad and tell him that you got
This
your
sound-
Harley, he'll be like, you'll hear silence of tears, and there'll be tears of joy.
Hold on, Dad. Listen to me rev this up. It's like, oh, son, I'm so proud.
yeah.
I love my dad, and I love my dad's opinions. I told my dad I had a Honda Shadow, and I basically described to him. I basically fessed up. I was like, look, I wanted to have two wheels. I wanted to ride a bike, and I couldn't afford anything that I really wanted, but at least this got me on the road. It's reliable. It's fun. It's two wheels anyway. And he called me another time and said, yeah, well, you had the you got the Honda Mohawk, or what's the other Honda that
You got the Honda Pearl Harbor.
No, he said it was a Honda.
remember. I don't remember the
It was
other.
the in between. It was like an in between crotch rocket and a cruiser. And so anyway, he was like, "Well, I thought you had that." I'm like, "No, Dad, I have the Shadow. I told you."
Really, you had to own it to Dad.
He's like, he didn't want to talk about it.
I'd
You
get a
know, because
Harley.
it looked like a Harley. I mean, it looks like the Cruiser. My dad's not into that. He'd rather have something fast or something quality like a BMW. And but now that Harley's gone electric, I have no loyalty to them. Buy Indian if you want to be cool.
That
Or
raises
buy,
a question, though. You
Buy
said
a crotch rocket if you want something that's real.
you couldn't afford what you wanted. What would you have wanted if you could pick any bike
If I could pick any bike in the
before
world,
this abomination?
my dream
out?
bike is an R1 Yamaha.
What's that?
It's a Yamaha.
Is that a cruiser bike or is that a crotch
It's a
rocket?
crotch rocket.
It's like a cafe racer.
I would also be very interested in a
Ducati.
like a BMW, sort of a
Really?
touring bike.
Really?
I woke up on a new Ducati.
That's
Yeah.
what I always think of.
But I actually could seat myself at one before I found out about this story that you just decided to tell me, Dennis. Before I knew
Sorry,
that
I
Harley
didn't-
Davidson went to electrical, I would have gone with a Harley because Harleys are kind of like the standard. I mean, if you're going to go to Image, you're going to just go around to like different restaurants and bars around town, and like the Harley is
With
the
your
cool-
leather vest.
Yeah, the Harley is the cool one. I mean, if you have a Harley, you're kind of the top of the heap. I mean, that's the standard. But I'll tell you what, now they've started driving electrical bikes, that standard needs to go away.
Dude, how cool would that be, though, to like roll up next to a big biker gang full of, and you roll up.
I also have
I also have
a Harley, everyone. See my Harley, and it saves the environment.
gotta go, gotta plug it in. Bye.
I have 40 more miles, so I can get there a little bit with you. What?
Yeah, well,
Go ahead, Dennis. I didn't mean to ruin your story. That just pisses me off. I mean, that pisses me off more than a girl that got mauled by pit bulls for some reason. I'm just saying.
Make
for
your
some
letters
reason,
out to Dave Thompson.
I'm just being honest. I'm more passionate about Harley making an electrical motorcycle than that first story. I didn't decide that.
All
It just
right.
happened to me.
Well, one thing you might be a little bit more excited about.
I'm going to buy an electrical motorcycle. I'm going to call my dad. I'm going to record that conversation, and that will go viral.
There's now a new electric version of something else that normally did not take electricity.
I already know what it is.
Let me ask you guys.
I'm looking at the
Let me-
picture,
let
and
me-
I'm like,
let me
where
ask
are
you
you
guys.
going, Dennis?
Let me ask you guys.
You know, this
you
is
don't
the
have to
thing.
answer. All right.
We give you 15 minutes, and you really are.
You don't.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You don't have to answer.
I can't wait for this.
But I'm assuming no. But anybody ever donated sperm?
Say no. Oh, donated sperm?
Yeah.
I never have, no.
At least not to a bank. You know, like. All right.
No, I'm sticking
sorry.
with my
Popped
answer.
in there and I spit.
No.
The
The answer is
okay.
no.
I won't even ask this one, but hypothetically, if you did, it probably would not be that big of a problem to extract the specimen, if you will, right?
The sample?
I would imagine most guys would have too much of a problem with that.
I imagine I could probably figure it
A
out.
simple magazine, and it probably suffice for like those. I'm saying, like but or your iPhone, whatever you want.
know, a pinup.
There's now a robotic sperm extractor machine at a Chinese hospital. Go ahead and show the picture.
At a Chinese hospital?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this at a hospital?
Well, they probably let's try. I don't know. Maybe the sperm bank is part of the hospital. I don't know.
Now,
What?
Just showed the photo.
I'm just asking.
Okay.
In China, you're only allowed to have one kid. The majority of children that are born are boys because they want to carry on the family name. Is there a shortage of this in China?
Maybe the machine like recognizes girls and just spits them straight.
There's not enough. There's far less women than men because of their laws, and so it seems to me that this is not a problem. That's just me.
Sperm extraction.
Why would they be extracting sperm in China?
Well, I mean, you still are going to have the same problems with people who want to have a kid and can't. I mean, you still have those. That's not changing. There's still a need for sperm donors.
Okay.
So anyway, this machine, it's basically this little, and Michael's showing a picture if you're watching the video, but I'll describe for if you listen to podcast. It's basically a machine that's about waist high, right about at your
About waist high?
roughly.
I think it's pretty.
roughly,
I think it's pretty solidly waist
pretty
high.
much waist high.
That's a good guess.
This would be a bad machine if it was not.
Well, it isn't.
It's got a little
in Asia,
TV.
so,
it's got a little TV screen that's right at waist high, and
to
then,
Americans.
and then right below waist high on the front of it, it's got this
Hole.
a hole. Let's call it a hole. And I like that they made it this part pink, just because it's like all right, we got to pick a color, So it's this little tube hole that's pink, and it basically gyrates back and forth.
Is that what it does, Tess?
Yeah.
That's
What
how
does
it
it do?
works?
I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
I had my headphones.
And
What
you-
does it do?
It gyrates
No,
back and
no,
forth.
Stop. All right.
And you can imagine where things go. It's got like knobs and buttons and stuff on the front. I don't know what those do. Like I don't know if that adjusts the speed or I don't know what it does to that.
All right. I
Anyway.
think we have a picture.
The point is, it's like what? I mean, is this necessary? Like I feel like we've
I don't
run out
feel-
of. I feel like we've run out of things to invent. It's like, oh, we need a jerk off machine to help people.
We've hit the end of the invention
Yeah.
line.
That was the last
There's-
one on the list.
There's
We're done,
nothing
everybody.
left to invent.
Yeah, we've got and I wonder if it like. Can you imagine having to use that like after it's
I honestly cannot. And I'm
after
not,
like
and I'm
several
not
people
going
have
to.
used it?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, dude.
I mean, I'm sure they change out the part of it, but it's like still
Okay.
you
I'm
got
sure-
like you got
okay.
like somebody's sweat dripped on. the
Yeah,
screen.
yeah. All right,
no,
all right,
no, no,
all right,
no, no,
all right.
no.
Let's finish this up, man. This is going to be our last show because we decided
Well,
also
We get
because
kicked off.
yeah, I mean every viewer goes, I'm out.
You guys asked for material. This is
Or
what
we're
I
gonna get tons of viewers.
Dennis has a Dennis does enjoy toilet humor.
Well,
Dennis-
I mean, it's not really the toilet because the toilet you just flush it. This collects it. It saves it for later.
All right.
It'd be funny
So-
if you like it takes the sample and just like stores it, and then I wonder if they have to unload it after every mission.
When we had a distinguished guest a few weeks ago. Some of you will remember this.
He actually used the machine.
And no, this was a distinguished guest from California, and very religious, very respected.
Neil Mammon.
Are we done
Neil
talking
Mammon.
about the sperm?
I'm giving a story about you, Dennis.
He's trying to get away. I think he's done with the.
So, I told Dennis when we were going to have him on the show that Neil is going to be on the show, and this is who Neil is.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis said, and I said to Dennis, I said, actually, do you remember when we had Mandolin on the show?
Yes.
Mandolin,
Why did we have her on the show?
the
Do
reason
you
why
remember?
we had her on the show, yes, is because she did a video called Hygiene
Yep.
that was so over the top and so vulgar, a lot like Dennis's last story, which is why I thought they had a lot in common. But so she did this video called Hygiene, and she was very vulgar, and we just thought it was hilarious. And she talked basically. It was a 5-minute video. It was way too long. She talked 30 seconds about some basic hygiene in the beginning, and then spent 4.5 minutes on shaving yourself. And so then I told Dennis the next week that Neil was going to be on here. And I'm going to give you a little intro into our kind of text conversations.
You're gonna
I
share
said
this with the world now.
we pushed Neil back 2 weeks.
Usually when I text you, I assume it's going to remain confidential.
I'm not sure if Mandolin's not going to make it. You know, I was afraid Mandolin wasn't going to be there. I wanted Mandolin there for the interview. Dennis says, well, I don't know who's going to ask him if his pubes are shaved if she's not there, but okay. So I said, good point. And Dennis says, I'm just kidding. Of course, I'll ask him. I said,
don't
well,
remember any of this.
if you're going to do that, let's collaborate on a scientific way to phrase the question.
Mm-hmm.
To which Dennis responded,
I think you had a response to her. Are you going to read that?
if a train leaves a station going 60 miles an hour and a busload of kids is crossing the tracks 4 miles away at a rate of 4 meters per second, what kind of razor do you use to shave your balls?
Oh
I
my
mean-
gosh.
It kind of reels them in. It's like
It's like,
you get them
you know,
interested. Get them interested.
Dennis,
Still so straight faced.
yeah. And now that was a private, that
Oh.
Dennis did not ever figure that would get out. But,
I don't know why we didn't ask him. I thought he.
no, I thought it was, you do have a way of keeping it shallow.
And Dennis takes it too far.
We're talking about, is there a God? He's like, yeah, but let's correlate this with Mandolin's hygiene video. Can we work that in some way?
God. Let's talk about your balls.
All right. Well, you got another story for us? Because
Yeah.
I think we've beat that one to death.
Speaking of North Korea, we apparently there's this movie coming out called The Interview that I hadn't heard about this movie before. There's a trailer and everything for it if you want to look up the trailer. It's starring Seth Rogen and James Franco.
Okay.
The plot of the movie is from what I gathered from the trailer anyway, Seth Rogen and James Franco are kind of going undercover as something else into North Korea to kill Kim Jong-un.
Who's
And-
alive right now?
Right, which I found was kind of interesting because
He's a
normally if they're
dictator.
going to make a movie like that, they usually like use a different name, and it's like
Hitler.
it's obviously
Yeah.
about so and so
Yeah,
person,
Hitler.
but they changed the name, so it's like we can say it wasn't about. They full out say they're going to kill Kim Jong Un. Anyway,
I like it.
yeah.
This is America.
Anyway, Kim Jong Un has says he will he will threaten merciless response over the movie if it's released. Like he's
He
threatening
considers
to,
it an act of war,
yeah, an act
which is
of war.
interesting given the reason for the Benghazi debacle being related to a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Now, this is a professional Hollywood video.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is made, and they've spent millions of dollars making this movie.
This story actually gives me hope. Because
I hope they attack so we can have a reason to blow the hell out of them.
well, I mean, this is why it gives me hope, because we've spent so much time on this show talking about how everybody is being restricted in what they say, to the point of MSNBC saying they won't say the name Redskins.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm ready to paint my next house Redskins.
I actually saw a really good idea for that though, where they keep the name Redskins, but then they just change the logo to a potato, a Redskin potato.
That's a terrible
intimidation
idea.
right
I think
there.
it's a great idea.
We're playing the Redskin potatoes, guys. Get your game faces on.
It's just as kind of a slap in the face. It's like we're still the Redskins, and
But
we're
it's
not
Redskins
racist.
potato.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, go ahead.
anyway, we have. I think the primary motivation for the show is the issue of censoring. I started this thinking, look at if we're going to lose our freedom of speech, and that's what it feels like. There are millions of words. Well, there are tons of words that we can't say because we'd get attacked for being, we'd be accused of a hate crime, and it's because there are police. And basically offending other people has now become the biggest crime.
Mhm.
And so if you can claim a legitimate offense, you can manipulate the person who is conducting business. And this actually gives me hope because it's actually Hollywood creating a film.
Yeah, it's like actually
that's
big
saying,
business saying we're
yeah,
gonna say whatever we
you're a
want.
communist dictator and we don't care about you. And so we're going to make a funny video about killing you
A whole
and you're gonna
big Hollywood movie.
and you're going to do nothing about it.
Yeah.
Because we're America. And I feel like that mentality is leaving. And I don't know, I kind of like the idea that I want to talk to Hollywood and say, look you can do this now because of the country and the freedom that we've created. And we're slowly getting rid of that by making everything offensive. I mean, I can see very quickly the right campaign being put in place and this being a completely offensive movie and all these actors having to apologize and no one would ever fund it.
You know what I find interesting though is Kim Jong Un's obviously very pissed about the movie, but
He's a spoiled brat.
nobody in North Korea will ever see the movie, and everybody outside of North Korea already thinks he's a joke anyway. So it's like, what harm is it doing?
Some people in North Korea may see the movie, but if they ever
No,
get
they won't.
caught,
They're not allowed.
if they ever get caught, they
Oh,
will
yeah.
be killed.
Yeah, so I mean, they're gonna get killed even if they see like whatever in the
Yeah.
movie.
So anyway, I like it. I'm like, I like the.
It's like the movie literally does nothing to change his reputation to anybody.
But the people who funded this movie, the people who wrote the movie, and the people who acted in the movie, do this saying, "We're America. What's he gonna do?"
yeah,
And that kind of mentality is becoming very. This is a surprising and it's a news story
yeah,
because
it's
that's
kind of
not
going the opposite direction of the trend.
Yeah.
Well,
like
I
it.
think it's kind of hypocritical as well.
Explain.
I think it points to the hypocrisy of Hollywood.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely does.
They,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they can say whatever they want, and it won't be offensive. It won't be racist. It won't be,
I think
MSNBC
Hollywood's always hypocritical because it's like, I mean, you'll have a movie that's intentionally made to offend, and then you'll have movies where they change things just not to offend.
Yeah. Well, MSNBC won't say the name Redskins because it's offensive.
They don't say it, really?
No, they won't say it now.
Oh my
And
God,
ESPN
that's
also.
stupid.
And ESPN won't
It's
say
the
it.
name of the team. You can still say it.
So, but because it's offensive, they won't.
Let's not
Now-
call the Broncos that anymore because it's offensive to.
But here's the thing: go back to ESPN, and you've got hundreds of examples of them saying it. So it's not that they've always had this maintained standard that they won't budge. It's only that because now they're being pressured into it, that they're creating this new standard. All right, we won't say it. If you've said it in the past millions of times,
Yeah, it's not like the word Redskin became a curse word.
well,
No, it did overnight.
unless it's the way you say it, Dennis, because you say it as a derogatory term against the American Indians.
Yeah. Dennis is always like, when we go out there,
Yeah.
I hope there's no Redskins. And I'm like,
I don't like
Dennis!
potatoes that much.
Dennis!
He's like, the reservations would be a cool place to hang out in if there weren't any Redskins around.
Hey,
yeah, right, guys? And I'm like, no!
No,
Do you know
I'm
what?
standing
we
up for
disagree
them.
with that, Dennis.
Do you know what you would call it if you had second thoughts about booking your time at a Indian casino?
I don't know.
A reservation.
And that's accurate.
Did you write that joke?
No, that's from Brian Regan. Look up his stand-up. He's one of our our
He's the
favorite
best.
comedians.
I think Kim Jong-un should watch the movie, and then he should edit it like North Korea does with these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then have them be like I don't know what happens in the movie. I haven't seen it. It's not out yet. But they come in, kill him, and they're like, and we're gonna kill you, and then they draw the gun, and then just have him add footage where he like gets shot and just like pulls the bullet out and like eats it, and then like spits
Or no,
it,
he just like
blows up their heads.
He
and, like,
summons a bunch of dolphins to
yeah,
attack them,
just
and he's like,
ruthlessly
"Yay!"
tortures them, and then shows it in North Korea, and it's like, see, we showed the movie. It's just I didn't edit it. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, they
See,
just-
look how powerful I am. If
Yeah.
anybody tries to
Oh.
shoot me,
Yeah, and all my 31-year-old fat glory.
and I can score 18 in 18 holes of golf, just like my dad.
That was his dad. Yeah,
Yeah.
his dad did that.
and he discovered unicorns in a cave.
The first time he ever played.
Hey, it's so ridiculous. Like this, I mean, I don't know, he should just say that he can fly, and
Well-
they'd probably believe it. He's like, I choose not to.
We do we divide the responsibility up on the show. At least we have for the last few weeks, where Dennis and I do half the show, and we asked Mark to do 15 minutes of the show. Mark, we're gonna go ahead and put the camera
It's like-
on you.
We're like, what does
And
Mark
so,
want to
and
talk
so
about?
Mark is front and center. There's no other camera except for Mark. And Mark
not-
is going to give us.
We'll still chime in because we want it to be entertaining.
He's going to give us a 15-minute monologue now
Mark,
on what he has prepared for the last show of the Dummy Load.
Look at me. Look at me. You're on camera. Okay, don't screw this up. You got this. You got this. Don't screw this
Thanks.
up. Don't screw this up, Mark. Please.
This is the third week I've done this, guys.
So what would you like to talk about?
I quit. You know what? I'm done. Okay, Mashable, the website Mashable, which is one of my favorite websites, by the way,
That was a good. website.
did a Google autocorrect experiment to see what your state wants. What do you think the number one thing
There was auto.
that most states had in common?
How to make extra money.
Explain that a little bit more. Like, what do you like? What people typed in that it autocorrected, or what do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really say what they were typing in, I guess.
It was the number one thing that most states
Number one
want.
searched.
Like what Michigan wants, or
Oh.
Michigan wants to,
And
and then the autocorrect.
Okay, so it's-
Alabama
Oh.
wants
No,
to.
no, it's
Okay.
not. It's not autocorrect. It's autofill in, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Autofill.
Autofill.
Shut up.
Okay,
You have to
yeah,
start
yeah,
us
that makes
out.
more sense.
You have to
Actually,
start us out.
they use the term autocomplete.
Michigan wants to.
And is that what it is? It's the state wants to, and
Yeah.
then whatever's after.
secede?
So Texas wants to.
Secede probably. That would
Okay.
be-
Texas says.
People always saying secede.
I
from
would
the-
say Michigan wants to get out of the hole.
But not the machine we were
Michi-
talking
The
Michigan
about.
Real
wants to
Housewives. of
Save the auto
Detroit.
industry.
No, 13 states want to secede, which
I was
surprised
right.
me.
Dennis was right.
Yeah,
Hey, good for me.
you know, I knew that was a big Texas
That's
thing.
annoying.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe
really
a
heard
couple other states
If
like
I hadn't heard it from
Arizona
Texas, I
or
wouldn't have thought
something. But and then you could technically maybe count Hawaii in there to make it 14.
Hawaii
But,
wants to see.
well, they phrase theirs a little bit different. They want independence.
The whole idea of seceding is stupid. I hate it when
especially
people
if you're
say that.
Hawaii. What are you gonna do out
Guess
there
what
by yourself?
Louisiana wants?
More
What?
gumbo.
To close libraries.
That's what they want
Are
to
you
do.
serious?
That's
Wow.
what it says.
That's good for them. That's their biggest problem. We got too many libraries.
Washington wants a say. A
Us.
say in what? I don't know.
No, that's I understand that. If I had been here for 13 hours live, coming up with nothing but guesses, I wouldn't have ever guessed closed libraries. But I would have actually probably got Washington D.C. because
No, that's not. It's Washington State.
Man,
it's Washington State.
They want to say.
I want a quesarito and gumbo.
Then I don't know. What does Washington D.C. say?
They want to say, right?
They don't have anything on here for that.
Are you sure it's Washington
They're
State?
not a state.
Are you
DC's
sure?
not a state.
Okay.
Washington State, yes. Washington State is over here.
Oh, Washington State. Oh, I thought you were
DC's
talking about
over
DC
here.
so Washington.
Because Washington wants to say that is their license plate. In Washington, D.C., they have
That's their license plate?
their license plate actually says taxation without representation.
Oh, I thought you meant
Because
we wanna
that was
say.
that's what the Tea Party was all about, was we're getting taxed by the king. We don't have any representatives in the government. We don't get to say anything.
Yeah, well, you have
Washington,
a bunch of
DC
liberals running DC.
Yeah,
so-
but Washington, D.C. itself doesn't have any representation. It's not part of a state.
Right.
And so if you live in the city of Washington, D.C., you actually don't have a representative.
Well, they kind of do.
I always
Well,
thought Missouri the
I'm just
show,
saying, that's
the
their-
show me state. I thought that
That's
was
their
funny.
argument.
They do have a pseudo rep.
I'm
But
just saying that's their
anyway,
argument.
Utah wants to tax the cloud. So there's
Like
that.
all clouds, like cumulonimbulus.
That makes
uh,
sense because the
Stratus-
NSA is headquartered in Utah.
Yeah.
Oh, the cloud. I thought you meant clouds. I was like, they don't even have money.
How are you supposed to get money out of those things?
Hey, they want to tax
Yeah.
cow farts.
It doesn't
That's
rain
true. I mean,
money. My dad told
don't-
me that.
Don't act like it's too crazy.
They want to tax
California
cow-
wants to serve a warning with fries, which makes
Of
complete
course
sense.
they do.
Yes.
Of course they do.
Bravo, California.
This is
We
why I don't live
expected
in
nothing
California,
less.
and I will never come back to your crappy state.
You want to serve a warning? What does that even mean? A warning with fries?
Caution:
They're unhealthy.
this item may make you fat.
They have fat in them.
Oh, a warning with. I thought it was like saying like. Okay, never mind. I didn't even-
No, we want to hear that actually.
I thought you were
What
gonna
did
say
think?
like instead of a burger and fries, you get a warning and fries.
What?
I don't know.
No, I don't know.
That's
It's
You're an idiot.
California. I mean, I thought it was
Jeez.
like. I mean, you know, is it that weird? It could have been weirder.
It is weird.
So this I thought was kind of
Should have
cool
been a warning on fries.
because a lot of celebrities,
Isn't that what
they
he said?
No, warning with fries.
Oh.
warning with fries.
It's like you get
You
a
order
warning with a
fries
side of fries.
on the fry container. It says
It sounds
Fat.
like a warning with a side of fries. Like I'd like a warning. Do you want to add fries?
A warning on your fry container. Does that clarify it
Yes,
for
that's
you?
better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
like all other food warnings.
All right, we're good.
Cigarettes.
Yeah, and alcohol.
Um,
Warnings on them.
So I thought this story was kind of cool because celebrities often think very highly of themselves and think they're entitled to the best.
I think highly of some celebrities.
And some I think very lowly of.
Yeah, I wasn't
Just like
talking about
people
me.
in
I was
general,
talking about
probably.
celebrities thinking highly of themselves.
Like
Yeah.
Russell Brand.
Kind of the way Davey thinks of himself. You know,
Yeah.
most celebrities think of themselves.
He's pretty high up.
You
on
know,
himself.
very self-righteous, arrogant, egotistical, narcissistic. You know, all those things.
You sound like all my friends. I hate you. You're wrong.
So anyway, Amy Adams, Michael, don't get too excited, was
Dennis, can you give me that machine?
God.
Wow, Michael.
I'm just
Your
kidding.
parents are going to hear this show.
I'm just kidding.
I want
Come
you
on.
to know, Mom
The
and Dad,
picture's on my computer.
that didn't come from.
I can't get
that
him to
doesn't
do the
make it
show.
any better.
Yeah. I don't condone this. He's my roommate, but I can't control
I'm
it.
not gonna buy a
stop
second one.
covering
You
your
can borrow
butt.
mine.
Yes, and Dennis takes it too far.
This is the last show, and now
Oh,
everyone
man.
is thanking God for that.
Oh man.
Amy Adams was on a flight from Detroit to LA, and she gave up her first-class seat to a soldier that was in coach.
Bam. She is so great, inside and
So,
out.
That was
Oh,
just kind
God,
of nice.
Really?
Yeah, it's
You know what
because
her
she.
insides look
It's
like.
because she.
A fellow passenger on the plane tweeted, "Just saw actress Amy Adams do something incredibly classy. She gave her first-class seat to an American soldier. I'm an even bigger fan now."
I'd
She
be
is
happy if I
classy.
was like the coach person sitting next to her now. Like I'm in coach sitting next to Amy Adams. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
All right.
That'd be awesome.
And she's in the middle.
So
I'd
the last
propose.
one is a little bit awkward.
As if we hadn't got there yet.
So there's a
Yeah.
New York Times columnist
I promise it will be more awkward.
appeared as a guest on CNBC's Squawk on the Street segment. And he was going to talk about, or he was there to talk about his column about former BP CEO John Brown. I guess a story to do with how many gay CEOs there are in the country.
Not enough.
So during the discussion, co-anchor Simon Hobbs chimes in with this comment. I think Tim Cook is open about the fact that he's gay at the head of Apple, isn't he?
What?
So
Well, he is now.
He better be.
everybody just fell into this extremely long, awkward silence. And then Hobbs backtracks. I thought he was open about it.
He's like, oh, I'm thinking of Tim Curry.
And
Sorry.
Wait a minute.
then,
That was my dad.
the comment is
I
made.
mean,
My dad's name's Tim.
who
He's
is
gay.
that? Yeah. I don't,
I'm gay. I don't know.
Yeah. When I said apple, I actually meant pear.
So Jim Stewart has done a lot of interviews with CEOs, and I guess he's talked to a bunch about the topic. And he said, of all the CEOs, there are gay CEOs, and not one of them has said that they're willing to be open about it or willing to discuss it. So he was kind of talking about the column, talking about the BP CEO. So then they started, going to the columnist Stewart, looking for direction to resolve this debacle on the show. And he basically just said, I don't want to comment about anybody who might or might not be. I'm not going to out anybody. So Tim Cook may or may not be gay, according to CNBC.
Well, I mean, somebody needs to quickly become the first gay CEO so that can be all over the news. And maybe
Yeah, he can be a hero.
Maybe he can smear cake on his boyfriend's face when he gets a promotion.
He can't be
That's
promoted.
what we
He's already
need.
CEO.
Let's take away the credit of actually running a company well and turn it into what turns you on. If it's another dude, we'll turn you into a hero. Yay!
Not
You're
your.
a CEO and you're gay.
Well, chances
What
are
an accomplishment.
chances are there have been, and that was what the columnist was
But
writing
why
about.
does it matter? Like, what does that have to do with
You're
running
a
the company?
CEO.
Which is-
You should be
Who
judged
cares?
about how you run your company. Just
Well,
because
that's why they don't discuss it openly.
Plus, if you're
So,
gay and you're a CEO,
the
it should be
guy-
like celebrating. It's like, hey, look, I'm gay. Look what I can do. I'm
I'll-
a freaking CEO.
I'll bet you the same amount of CEOs who are gay, who are the same amount of CEOs that have come out publicly and said that they're turned on by other women or men in a heterosexual way. Like, that shouldn't be part of the equation. So, but you know what? Someone now will be a gay CEO and they'll come out and they'll admit it and then they'll be a big hero and then they won't be able to be fired because you couldn't fire them because then that would be a hate crime or something.
Right.
Dude, that's the way to go.
Well, I would say if Tim Cook is gay, he might want to pull that card right now because Apple's not doing so hot.
So this recently happened in California, or I'm sorry, in Pittsburgh. A Pittsburgh police officer's suspension was announced Monday after a video emerged allegedly showing him assaulting a Pride Fest female attendee over the weekend. And if you see this video, which I have, maybe we'll post that later on tonight.
Assaulting.
He grabs the girl and he punches her.
Punches
Yep.
a girl for being gay.
No, yeah, at a Pride Fest. And he grabs her. All the video is like, I don't know,
This
eight
is
seconds.
for real?
Yes.
This really happened?
He grabs her. He's working at the Pride Fest. There's a girl there who's there celebrating. She's got rainbow socks. And he grabs her, and you see him punch her. Now, if you go he's been suspended and all that. Now,
I
you
think
go-
it'd be fired, but okay.
The unidentified officer was patrolling as thousands of individuals flocked to downtown Pittsburgh for the annual Pride Fest celebration when the incident occurred. According to the officer's account of events, a fight broke out between a man and a woman identified as Ariel Lawther. When the officer attempted to break up the physical altercation, he claims Lawther punched him multiple times and took a combative stance. Video then appears to show the officer grab the woman by the hair and strike her at least 2 times in the chest area. "I'm sorry, I did not see you were a cop. I'm sorry I hit you," the woman later claimed after being placed in handcuffs. Yeah, you apologize once you have the handcuffs on.
Yep.
The officer said that he had told her earlier not to be so physically offensive toward the demonstrators. In the press briefing Monday, Mayor Bill Peduto announced the officer's suspension. The officer has been taken off the streets and will remain off the street for 30 days. He has been suspended for many other outside duties while the investigation continues. All these types of incidents will be reviewed. She was punching the cop, and she was kneeing him in the groin.
That's
and he
low.
grabbed her.
How did it
He
start?
grabbed her hair. She was in a fight. And he was
Oh,
breaking
she was
up
in
the
a
fight.
fight with somebody else.
She was in a fight with a protester at the Gay
Okay.
Pride Parade. He tries to break up the fight. She turns on him, punches him, and knees him in the groin.
Okay.
He grabs her hair, and this is what's on video, not for some reason the stuff that she did. It just catches him look like he punches her like in the chest when he's and he puts her in handcuffs. And then once she's in handcuffs, she starts apologizing to him. And he's been suspended for 30 days.
Just like the CEO thing, I feel like the gay straight that has nothing to do with the equation. Like,
No.
What is that?
But if you're a cop and you get kneed in the groin, you should have the permission to do what's necessary
You
to
do.
get her in handcuffs.
You do.
If
But
you know
the
what it
problem
feels like
is,
to be kneed
but
in the
problem
groin,
is she's gay, and so if you do something to a gay person at a gay pride parade and you're a cop, you're the bad guy. There's
yeah.
no way to paint you as anything but the oppressive, horrible person.
I would, if I was a cop, I would get so far away from
If
those
this
kind
was
of
a
events.
regular girl at a regular parade,
Yep.
that cop would not be suspended.
If I was a cop, I wouldn't go to abortion rallies. I wouldn't go to gay pride things.
No,
I don't think
if
you have
I
a choice.
blink wrong,
You
I'm
don't-
out because
yeah,
the
you don't
country's
have,
against
you
me.
don't have a choice.
I don't think
but,
they say go to this.
I
and
know.
you're just like,
I know. I would
no.
just try. Okay, I'm just saying.
But
I'm a cop.
my point is, there are victims and there are bullies, and that has been predetermined. And so it doesn't matter the specifics of a situation. If you're in a group, you're the victim. If you're in another group, you're the bully. If you wear a cop uniform, you're the bully. If you're a homosexual, you're the victim, no matter what.
We have a video of a cop being a bully at the river. Sometimes cops are bullies.
Sometimes cops are bullies. Well, anyway, we do like to talk about anything and everything on this show. Thank you so much for joining our program every single week. We are going to, as we said earlier, we are going to be going on a hiatus because we need to move. We're going to be taking down this studio, and so it's like this is the end of the dummy load.
We should have queued up that Boys to Men song.
BBD.
Although we've come.
I have had. I talked to my brother about this not that long ago. I have had this inner driving passion to build this show, to not be alive in this day and age, and being somebody who has a total freedom of speech to say whatever I want, and then not use it. And I thought that if I were to build this show, I might get recognition. My voice could count for something, and this was going to be my project, and I was going to make a name for myself. Well, in the process, I met. I've started working with Mark, and I have never met anybody.
So bad things have happened too. I mean,
it hasn't been all good. No, I don't know. Mark is a very different person than me. We work together, we hang out together, we do the dummy load, and would you? In almost every way, Mark and I are different in our temperaments, but we align so closely, and I've not met anybody who's got more passion than Mark. Mark's passion for issues that are going on in the country dwarf mine. And
he does do a good rant.
He does a great rant. And when we had our viewers in Houston, we had a new group of people in Houston started contacting me all the time. Mark was their favorite guy.
Are we killing Mark off? Is this where this is going?
No, I'm not killing Mark off. I'm going to do you next. Mark was the guy that they identified the most with, and I have enjoyed Mark's passion for things, and I've been, I wish that I had that.
He's got two different colored eyes too, which is kind of weird.
Also, I'm jealous.
I'm unrelated, but I mean it's weird.
But we worked for we've worked together, and so we got to move. We got to take the studio down. We've got to go on this hiatus. But I originally thought we're gonna just take this down. It's been fun. We learned a lot. We had a lot of fun with it. But after spending the last week considering the relationship that you and I have and the relationship that I have with these guys, I'm actually doubling down. We're going to find a new studio. We're going to be doing a lot of other projects coming up that will be different than just the podcast. We're going to get into film. We're going to do different shows. We've got some big plans in the future. The team here, I just enjoy so much. Dennis is the funniest guy I've ever met. I gave you an example of the kind of things that he does. If I'm jealous of one thing, it's that when we're in a group, Dennis has a way of bringing humor into it where sometimes my brain only sees what's in front of me. I can be funny sometimes, but Dennis can be funny all the time. Michael and I, in the same way of me and Mark.
Jealous of his sperm extractor.
Michael and I are different. I don't know what kind of machines he's got in his room. That's his business, I guess.
This is like a constant whirring sound coming from his room.
Michael and I are also very different people. We just came from the same family. We both approached the situation from the same place, and so. But when Michael was young, he had an obvious flair for the artistic. He had the obvious flair for he had a creative bent that Josh and I never had, his older brothers. And I used to say, when Michael was only like 12 and 13, I said, well, I'm just waiting until Michael becomes an adult because he's going to come up with something creative, I'm going to exploit it, and he's going to make me a millionaire.
You told me
Michael's
that several times.
Michael, I have said that more than once. I didn't know you'd ever heard it, but I have said that to plenty of people. Michael's going to make me a millionaire because he's going to come up with something that's just unique and weird.
And I'm going to steal it.
Yeah, I'm gonna like, because artists, they're just aloof. So
He's going to give me his ideas because I'm his older brother.
yeah,
and
hey,
I'll
look
take
at
'em.
when you're in a family, it's a community. So but anyway, as I've gotten to know the three that I've been doing the dummy load with, I honestly believe that you will look back at this video and say, remember when they did these shows? I remember I listened to the dummy load back when they were doing back when they were in their garage on Misty Bend.
That's what hipsters will say. I listened to it before it was cool.
You heard us before it was cool. Thank you so much for supporting the show. We're not leaving. We're going on a break, so we won't be live every week. But if you would find us on Facebook and like us, if you would find us on Twitter and follow us, we are going to be coming up with a lot more stuff here in the next month or two. We're gonna be building, and then after that, we're gonna unroll a plan, and we're all gonna be working together again.
You like us in your hearts. Now like us online.
Well, if you subscribe to us on YouTube, we can go into high def and you can really see the studio.
Yeah.
Well,
the studio.
subscribe to us on YouTube would be great. If you're watching the video, click subscribe. That'd be a big help. But for upcoming events, find us on Facebook. Like the Facebook page.
That's where it's all going to be.
Follow us on
post
Twitter.
everything there.
If you follow us on Twitter, you'll be able to see all of our updates. Mark does that. So for what's coming up, this ends our season 3. We're going to go back into a rebuilding mode. When we come back, we'll have a new studio. We'll have a new game plan, and it's going to be very exciting.
Mark will be better looking.
Thank you for your support,
Hope so.
and until we see you next time, keep it on the DL.
Yeah, that.